power play. You just illustrated the gold lead. There's always going to be kill pressure, and there's multiple damage threats on SKT's comp. They will always be relevant in these fights.
They're going to look to be relevant right inside of Splyce's base before too terribly long. We can see if they want to wait 2 minutes till the Baron respawns, or they want to push a bit more earlier. No rapid fire cannons in the squad, so it's going to take a little bit of effort to knock these turrets down, but with the gold lead they've got, you never know. SKT might, just might, dive a tower. For now, they're going to steal the blue buff away, take out some of that Splyce jungle, and we'll see where they set up next.
And I think that the goal right now for SKT is just to play away from Northscreen. We've seen every proactive play currently from Splyce has pretty much been off the back of a hook. So they're playing on the flip side of the map. They're making sure that they have vision set up prior to going for any of these elongated sieges. And I think that as long as they continue to frustrate a young Splyce lineup, this early game, where it was quite competitive, will start to seem like a very long time ago. And then it becomes thinking about, okay, how do we achieve that one team fight where maybe we can sneak our way back into the game?
And if you're Splyce, your main goal is to just, first and foremost, clear out your jungle so you can get safely to your farm waves. We just saw Splyce do it. They used their sweepers, but it is also, as Spawn's talking about, setting up these angles and these avenues attack of getting Blitzcrank underneath in Fog of War and trying to surprise them.
Still playing the vision setup right now. We've only got a minute now till Barons. That's going to be pretty obviously the play, and this is the Splyce vision.
Who's going to walk around this corner?
There are no forward wards at all in this squad. They see what happened. That's not going to be too terrible. Claw over the wall, doesn't get attacked or anything, and once again, it is so much darkness. Clid puts sweeper down, sees a ward, says, anyone here? No? Okay.
And once again, look how well SKT play towards the safe side of the map. However, Clid might be in a bit of danger.
Oh, danger to Northscreen though. The cocoon over the wall lands. They hook him right back in, and it's time to knock down the mid inhibitor turret. Baron's not up. They crack the base anyway. This inhib is gone.
And I don't know what it is about SKT, because you can change out every single member, but they almost always have this core identity of SKT not only recognize exactly what they need to do, but exactly what you want to do to them. They find it, they figure it out, and they break it.
Almost nobody for Chachi. Gets some damage, but not enough for the kill. Now the ult across from Faker. That could be enough to kill him. Heals a little bit more, but doesn't have the backup. Teddy finds that kill, and there's nowhere for Xerxes to go. He's going to drop as well. There could be more of a chase down. Faker just lives. The flash hook's not going to land. A trade kill. That's a nice one. The cleanse. He tries to get away, just back to the squad. And can he evade SKT? Which one's real? It's one on the north side. Puts in the chain. Everyone's going to bring in a teammate, though, and they're going to find the pull. Teddy on a killing spree, and SKT can run right to that Baron.
And once again, Splyce go fishing, but this time they catch the entirety of the SKT lineup. They run over the top of them. They will be able to pick up their second Baron of the game, and the gold lead has just exploded.
And for me, the difference has not only been in the individual mechanics, but also just in the vision game that SKT have been playing since the lane phase broke. You can see that Splyce are trying their hardest to regain control of their jungle, but SKT saw this coming from a mile away. This is after Northscaren's already been blown up, and SKT knew the Blitzcrank was around the corner. They drop a ward, they blow him up, and then they just start ripping through Splyce.
And I mean, when you look at how this fight is going, it's perfect for SKT because it's on multiple flanks. It's the ability to not have to fight in something like a Gangplank ultimate, and credit to Humanoid, he is able to pick up Faker on the back end of that. Does allow himself to pick up a pretty big shutdown as well, but when your front door is being kicked in and you lose Baron, the game is in a very dangerous state.
I mean, Humanoid with that breaking ankles play right there might have actually just saved the game from Splyce, but I won't say save. I will say
prolonged
the game for Splyce.
Maybe so, but regardless, it was still a fight that went SKT's way. The Baron's on top as well, and we'll see how much more they can crack down. Middle inhibitor already dead. Chachi found out by Khan. That matchup was tilted so early, and it's still paying dividends now. The fight on the bottom side. TP comes in, looking to knock down Teddy. Can they kill him? Yes, they will. A 1-for-0, but can it be enough? Can Kame survive with the damage across? They're still chasing down the opponents. Another kill comes in. The culling is there. Just barely can't kill the Kaisa, but a 2v4 is really hard to win. Xerxes going to flash away to safety now as well. SKT still on the chase. Faker has a claw soon, and they're hungry for blood. Looking to go right through the mid lane. Looking again to maybe knock down Kame. Can't quite find him just yet, but they have the Nexus turrets in sight. 4v2 to push, and SKT, it's still going to be a sub 30-minute win. The first 15 were fought valiantly, but SKT, the champions of Korea for a reason, pad the KDAs, add to the stats, 14-7 in kills, and the Nexus falls in game 1.
And a commanding victory from SK Telecom in the end, but that was a fairly competitive early game, but crucial errors from a young lineup again. Humanoid getting caught out multiple times, Northscreen getting caught out, and you just cannot make those mistakes against SKT when the game is in the crunch.
And I think the expectation for this series is it wasn't for lack of trying from Splyce.
Yeah.
You know, they were throwing their shots at SKT. They tried to force a lot of ganks. Sometimes it did work out for them, but majority of the time it didn't. Whereas anytime SKT picked their moment, picked their play, it was always successful. And I think that's the true gap between these teams.
I also think that if you just look at how each of these teams played around their vision. You know, how Splyce was unable to regain control of the bottom portion of the map when they wanted to contest for that air drake and gave so much of their lead back, versus when SKT were very conscious of where Blitzcrank was. I thought he might have a pick there, but they were just so aware of Northscore's positioning at every single time. That is a difference between, you know, a world-class team like Splyce, who has made it now to the quarterfinals, versus maybe the best team of all time in League of Legends.
I mean, SKT being the best team of all time and Faker being the player of all time, like, that's not up for debate, right? We already know that is true. Is this iteration as good as their heights? That's a question to be answered as this tournament plays out. Credit where it's due. Good first 15, first place, played SKT equal, but the back half, SKT clearly showing their class, a far better team, but we'll see what happens in the rest of this best of 5. For more on how Game 1 played out, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Freak. SKT out to the early lead in the series at 1-2-0, but we heard Freak say it, believes that Splyce played SKT close in the first 15. We'll dive into the early game, dissect it a little bit in just a moment, but first I want to identify what exactly happened in Champion Select, because as we talked about top of the day, would Splyce stick to comfort? Would they decide to throw something new and out of the box at SKT?
Honestly, I found this draft surprising, even from an SKT perspective, with the very early...
Nochebuena na.
Does play them to some degree, but the Draven is something he played sparingly on Jin Air, and actually made some sense when it came to a lane dominating bot side against the very meta Kai'Sa.
And I like that SK Telecom open with a draft this aggressive in the best of 5, right? They're throwing it down there, sending the message in the opening game, and putting that pressure on Splyce.
We did get Splyce comfort though. That's why, like, early GP, we know it's the #1 pick for Visichachi. Sadly, of course, GP does have a lot of counters if you play a lot of carries up in the top lane, especially range carries like we saw here. So that's a bit of an issue for them. I think the Kai'Sa choice is smart, again, because you want to play around your bot lane, ideally if you are Splyce. So I think that draft made a lot of sense, and I love the Blitzcrank. You know, we were actually calling for Nautilus initially instead of the GP pick. We were like, okay, they can go for GP, also makes sense. And then still get what was a kill lane with Blitz to try and shut down Draven, which, to be fair, actually worked out.
And of course, we joked that it's SKT playing Lucian in the top lane after Huni exits the lineup. But Kobe, I'm coming back to you because I want to discuss the expectation of the early game based on the compositions drafted by each team.
Right, given these champions, and I like that you point out the Lucian top, because there's a very clear message given by SK Telecom. Lucian pick into GP with an Elise jungle, that means this is going to be a dive possibility for SKT. So there are 2 possible reactions if you are Splyce here. You're looking at the jungler red side. Is he going to actually start and defend this GP from the possible dive, or is he going to focus on bottom side and try and play offensively to their strengths? SK Telecom just play to their plan, repeated dives on top side. Then after that first kill, it's very easy for Clid to return top side. Right here, you had Visichachi and Xerxes in lane, literally just trying to push the minion wave. They weren't trying to accomplish anything except reset and gain some sort of balance in this. They were trying to get a reset there, and yet SKT know that they have the advantage in this matchup, with Faker and Clid both focusing their early attention to the top side, pushing in mid and getting that roam off. They blow the game wide open.
And we were debating, should you defend as a jungler your GP here, or should you go bot lane and gank? I think you should go bot lane and gank, because you're playing against Elise, who can of course reset turret aggro, and in this case they did bring up multiple players, also with Faker joining with Aftershock, so there's a lot of members who can actually start the fight and still tank the turret and reset it, or at least just walk out without taking too much damage. So I think defending would be really difficult, so Cersei opted to go bot, They got the flash. They didn't get the kill, sadly, but they did set up the early snowball around bot lane, which to me was like the only way they could actually win early, by playing through bot and then hope that Vizicsacsi does not fall too far behind. Playing through bot and then hope that Vizicsacsi does not fall too far behind.
And trading sides of the map is pretty standard. That's why we often see one side, top side attack, the other team attacks bot side. But one thing I want to break open is the fact that with Draven Thresh, you're thinking winning lane bot side, Lucian beats GP on the top side. SKT kind of had options on both sides, and while they had to leave Draven on a weak side in this game, which you don't normally want to do, when you have such a winning top side and the potential to snowball through bot side, you give yourself a lot of options. If your fallback is strong, and as SKT closed out this game, you see how strong their macro is, they were going to win somewhere, and they were going to snowball from that.
And to Freak,
win somewhere, and they were going to snowball from that.
And to Freak's point, it was the tale of, two sides of the map. For Splyce, the advantage was on the bot side. For SKT, on the top. And we kind of hit that mid-game, that 20 to 25-minute mark, at a fairly even clip. Things slowed down, and then you look for the one play to break things open. It comes in the mid lane, and it's Effort on that Thresh, who finds the flash flay to secure them the Baron, just to follow.
That's a kind of a weird way to try and start here. Like, it's very overforced, obviously, with Noscaron trying to look for that pick with all of the SKT members around the mid lane. But I think if you are Splyce at this point, like, if it's not a body slam flash engage from Cersei, you must fish for hooks, because you can't actually play the map, because Lucian is like mega fed at this point, and Lissandra can't really die.
But moments like that show the evolution of Effort. Again, the guy who wasn't playing at MSI, the only new player to come into the starting roster here. Young support, still, I believe, 18, 19 years of age, still finding his footing, but taking that evolution away from just strong laning supports and also being decisive on the engage.
Yeah, I mean, there was a very clear reason why they made the change from Mata to Effort.
Mechanics, baby.
Yeah, Mata is such a legendary player, and yet, with the extra stopwatch here, it makes a completely different story. Both supports getting those hooks, both supports going for the engage, one team running away with it.
And I think Splyce on blue side here, it was of course SKT who selected red. Makes a lot of sense. They could counterpick both solo laners, which obviously made it very hard for Splyce, because so that GP top obviously got hard countered by Lucian, and then they had to blind something mid. They went with LeBlanc. They were smart to pick Cleanse as well, so that he wouldn't get hard cam.
We were debating this.
Cleanse was correct.
No.
Give me a response, and then we gotta go.
So here, the closed-minded way to look at the Cleanse is, oh no, there's an Elise and a Lissandra that are going to lock me down and kill me. But if you don't take Ignite or Teleport, then you're not getting the benefits of having a LeBlanc and
he had to blind pick. That was the benefit. He needed to blind pick something.
You had to take the Teleport.
All
Cleanse was correct.
He used Cleanse one time.
It was correct.
Game at 26
it was correct.
Minutes, by the way.
26 minutes into the game was the only time Cleanse was used by the mid laner. For Splyce, they did play close for that first 20 minutes, but it did not go in their favor ultimately. As we go to break, the newest addition to Summoner's Rift, Senna, the Redeemer, is ready to conquer her enemies with the Black Mist. You've already seen her trailer, so let's get a closer look at what we can expect when she goes live on PBE in just 2 days.
Hercules, I have been expecting you.
And I brought you a gift, so you can fight properly. Red Bull.
Ooh, how nice of you, but also rather foolish. Mine, no mine, no mine, no mine.
Mine. Red Bull gives you wings.
Countless worlds
Hello and welcome back to the Castle Desk for Game 2 of the quarterfinal between SK Telecom T1 and the one and only Splyce from the LEC. Of course, one European team has already dropped yesterday. Splyce, the second hope of Europe so far. G2 to play later in the day. And I want to recap how Game 1 went. Very close to the first 16 minutes, equal in gold, and then mid-game happened and it got broken open.
That sounds like a Mad Libs. Like, fill in what happened in game number 1. And I think most people, even without watching it, it went to expectations. But this time around, we're back in draft. It's Splyce on the red side, and we had a question. Splyce wanted to ban the Akali and the Renekton. This is the problem that they have to solve. From blue side, they can ban both those champions. From red side, it's typically Pantheon, Qiyana plus targeted ban. There's a chance that Splyce leave Qiyana and Akali open. Never mind. I see it now. I was so tunneled.
Of course.
Take the wind out of my sails.
You were hoping that you're running, oh, we know what will they bargain for. And yeah, it's the two solos that you can't flex and the Pantheon everyone bans.
I wanted them to trade something for it specifically, but now everything's taken away from them. It's the first pick Elise, and Splyce on red side, I actually think they just have to like blind pick their comfort champions. Red side inherently means less for them because they don't have the same deep champion pools, and you expect to, if it is going to be a counter pick, for Humanoid.
Well, they're going to block the Rise right away. The Olaf right alongside it. I do want to point out almost every team so far has preferred red side at Worlds 2019. So if you thought Game 1 was close, this should help Splyce a little bit, all things considered. But we'll see, though. That's a drafting advantage more so than like you're innately stronger on red. So I want to see what draft advantage actually comes out. Because so far, SKT got the jungler they want. They got to ban away the Gragas that Xerxes played so well.
Yeah, however, I do like the mid-jungle 2v2 so far from the Splyce lineup. I think that Olaf's main strength in being able to out-tempo an Elise and get there first is going to suit how Xerxes needs to play the early game versus SKT and should be able to set his lanes up quite nicely.
I also think there is a scary thing to keep track of over this series of the Rise pick. Splyce banned it on blue side, and then on red side immediately rotate it, even though they have the option to look for a counter pick. Now you could say, but Rise is powerful because he's a flex pick. I guarantee that Chachi isn't going to play this Rise, that it is going to be Humanoid. I would be shocked. Could happen, but I wouldn't be my first champion pick for him.
I'm also intrigued what Splyce picked here because they had the rights to take the Kai'Sa right away. They just go down to the Ezreal, and I'm a little surprised that they let Kabe kind of go down his tier list. He's been their best performing member, I would say. He's been a huge damage source, a lot of kill participation, been doing really well for him. They didn't have to rush the Olaf. With at least taken, Olaf could have been taken later on. They gave the Kai'Sa over and said, that's okay, you grab it yourselves. Down to Ezreal. I want to see if he can perform on this.
But if you think about how this lineup is going to have to play, with Rise probably trying to look for farm in the side lane, Ezreal Olaf is the start of a very good 1-3-1 composition that can be put together from Splyce. It does give you the freedom of being able to get out of dodge of a lot of the CC that is going to come out from the SKT lineup. And what we need to see is a minimization of the mistakes that Splyce make in the mid game. Their early game was good. They had Kobe in a position where he should have been set up to maybe even carry that game, but they just made mistakes around that air drake, around the mid lane team fight that didn't allow that to eventuate.
The difficulty with that, though, is I think mistakes that are kind of part of you. I mean, this is season long, right? The fact that we see Humanoid and Chachi get picked off. I don't think you fix those kinds of mistakes between Game 1 and Game 2. Like, those are habits that are hard to break. I would love to see that shored up. I would love to see a closer series, though.
Yeah, I think it needs to be band-aided. The thing that really scares me is the fact that, not that Kabe is a bad Ezreal player, because he's not, but Ezreal cannot carry to the same extent that a Xayah or a Kai'Sa can for Kabe and for this team. I look at this and I'm like, unless Humanoid is just popping off on this Rise, I almost think this is a wash of a draft at this point for Splyce. I don't see them as a strong Ezreal team unless Xerxes on Olaf is just popping off with Humanoid's Rise.
Well, it would be a champion to be able to do it because he is 5-0 so far in 2019 with the pickup. It's certainly something that he's comfortable with.
Ooh.
And overall, I'm starting to like the feel of this Splyce comp. They do have the tools to be able to deal with it. And if SKT don't run a tank again, all of this damage will be very sticky.
Pyke is gonna come through. Ezreal Pyke in the bottom lane. And SKT not certain that Rise is going mid either. They themselves banned LeBlanc, thinking maybe that's the last pick through here. Chachi plays it after all.
Explain yourself.
I don't know. I think it's divide and conquer. I was excited for the Yuumi hover. I'm like, the poke on that, the Ezreal Yuumi. I could see it. You poke them off of objectives. Norse Garen on Pyke. LEC supports are known for their Pykes. Norse Garen is not necessarily one of them, but that is a lot of potential for Splyce to, again, hit and run League of Legends. Find people out, execute them, and create chaos on the map.
And Faker likely back on Tristana. 9-0-8 against Fnatic in their opening game of Worlds. Hard carry performance from Faker to start Worlds 2019. And the Fiora comes in as well. And the team are not certain which matchup the Rise is in. They're saying it's okay, both these look good.
This is terrifying. I look at that SKT composition. It has wonderful bridging points. It is strong in the early game with the Elise. It is strong in the mid game with the Kai'Sa. It is strong in the late game with the Tristana and the Fiora. It overlaps so well.
What if this is locked in? All right, Poppy's gonna come through. Poppy to the top lane. Poppy Fiora up top. Tristana versus Rise in the mid. And Ezreal Pyke down there.
So here's the thing, in the LEC, when you have Ezreal Pyke, this is kind of the Fnatic special as well as G2. You have a safe laner who allows the Pyke to leave. This is really about blitzing in the mid lane, making sure that, as Spawn was saying, that Xerxes gets tempo control in the jungle with the Olaf, that they can then play pressure with Rise and then put the Pyke on top of it. This is about Norse, Garen, Humanoid, and Xerxes controlling this early game to get this going for Splyce, and Kobbe being safe on his own with Ezreal.
And that sounds great until you attribute Splyce to that kind of playstyle, because they just upped the burden of execution on their comp so high. They had the safest 1-3-1. They were going to have a shutdown side of the map, a strong side of the map in the Rise to be able to play towards, and so much sticky poke damage. However, now they're going up against an SKT lineup that once again has so much damage in this mid game. After one item, they are just a juggernaut to be able to deal with.
And then it only gets worse from there that they have the scaling options, and it's Faker on Tristana. This guy has been so hard to break. Perfect performance on his Lissandra. He was able to get out of so many plays. The Tristana, he has the same tools.
It's going to be an exciting matchup here as SKT take on Splyce in game 2 of this best of 5. Predictions are SKT clean sweep this one. Splyce made him work for it the first one. Mid-game mistakes pulled them asunder. A new draft here. Maybe hard to execute, but an explosive one all the same. Rise has great gank setup. The Pyke can roam around the map. I want to see what Splyce have in store for us. The pressure's off. Picking up a win is already a huge victory for them.
I want to focus in on the level 1. Now, it looks like a fan out right now. Usually what Splyce do, especially when you have this Olaf, is they look to contest Raptors and control the Raptor camp. Now, the scary thing is that I don't think Splyce for certain have the stronger level 1. They definitely have strong tools, but I think that this means that Xerxes will have to play for his own Raptor camp, but this is a very different speed that he's normally used to taking with Olaf. Usually it's delayed invade on enemy Raptors, you force that, you get mid-control, you walk to your own Raptors, and you're just cruising through experience.
And let's just briefly talk about level 1 tools. You would say, you know, Pyke, very good level 1, has the ability to stun 5 people. Ezreal as well as Olaf there. However, Rise kind of sucks, level 1, to be completely frank. And then you have a look at the fact that Kai'Sa Nautilus, level 1. The fact that Nautilus adds plasma stacks for Kai'Sa to do so much damage at that portion of the game is very hard to deal with. So I agree with you. I don't think they're going to go for a blind invade. That ward is also pretty significant. Khan's going to hit level 2 off the first wave now that he's been able to pick that one up. But it does look like, once again, solo start for Clear.
Yeah, and also a topside start for Xerxes. So we saw him do this last game. He passed down bottom, tried to force it. I'll hold it.
A lot of damage early on. Norse got the half HP. He'll regen about a quarter of it, but big damage back on an effort. Honestly, that trade favors Splyce if Norse can duck in a fog.
See whether he's able to, and I'm very interested to see whether these junglers path towards, because as you mentioned, Frost, this is going to be topside start for Xerxes. It is a little bit slower on Olaf because he does have to be able to pick up his blue buff to really start powering through his camps. And that means that, once again, there could be a lot of attention towards this bottom lane. As an Elise, as there's still a lot of trading going up here, Khan,
yeah, level 2.
with the Klepto really putting in some work.
And already a fight now in the mid lane as well. Chachi gets the root, no longer the shield, doesn't come through in the kit anymore. That one's gone, but blocks away, stays alive.
And what I was going to mention is the fact that this is Elise's ideal path. You want to be able to do the solo camps on Elise, because with the percentage health damage, she does them much quicker than other champions. So Clid might actually be able to beat Xerxes down here with more mana, with more health, and looks like he also has pushing lanes.
It's also the fact that Xerxes didn't get to play his standard Olaf, so good pathing and setup from SKT on the level 1 to, like you're saying, Klid's ideal pathing. He's able to get his own Raptors. It's the fact that Faker has complete control of that mid lane, is now walking into Xerxes' jungle to acquire information on this guy. And if you neutralize and defang Xerxes, Splyce fell apart. There is no early game without this guy.
And if he had done Gromp late, that would have been a potential kill. And as I said, now he's here for the potential 4-person dive, but 4v3 is a pretty hard one to do. I expect it to not be too much pressure as long as Kabe can last it under turret, but now they're going to go for it anyway.
Hold
4v3, they're going to try. This is the attempt right now. A lot of damage. They're going to knock for the first one. Xerxes drops effort, drops aggro, and now Kabe's forced to run. But that trade is in. The kills are coming through. It's 2 for 2 so far, and Northscared remains alive. Now, SKT do deny some farm, but the kills are traded equally.
They are traded equally. However, look at the distribution. It is going to be Teddy. Hold the thought.
I don't think he can kill Faker, but he can stop the recall, and actually, the farm can be denied in the mid lane as Faker drops all that CS.
Yeah, so it is going to be kills onto Teddy. Once again, we're going to have an incredibly accelerated Kai'Sa in this game, and the fact that Kobe missed out on experience,
that's good though,
is also a big deal.
I mean, it is denying Faker time in his wave. Is Chachi now?
We're still fighting. Chachi going to be slowed, and that shield is needed, but could he flash in? He's gonna, and over the wall they go. Khan cannot find it. Chachi, that flash was beautiful. There might be an escape still, though. As soon as the Q comes back up, he's over the wall. The flash chase, and Xerxes strikes him down.
And now it feels better for Splyce right there. Finally, Xerxes comes to his top laner's aid. Chachi just got punched to death in the first game, but this time around, Xerxes got his back.
They're not done. They're not done. They're still willing to fight. Northscared, though, just slinks away. The Ghostwater dive can't find the skewer.
And that could have been, once again, another play. That is actually SKT deciding to not go for the flash cocoon or the flash hook there. Would have absolutely meant that Kobe had to burn his. But the start of this game has been played at such a frantic pace. 5 kills at only 5 minutes in. Want to check in with the fact that there are also very limited summoner spells, so I don't think the pace is going to slow down anytime soon.
And this is what we expected. It's unlocking Northscared on this pike, trying to blitz in through the mid lane, but Faker is just, he's so hard to crack. Even with the tools of having things like the Rocket Jump or the Lissandra ultimate, he is so aware of a player, of knowing when he needs to play aggressive and when he needs to play defensive.
But I don't necessarily love that roam. We'll take another look at the dive beforehand, however. As we mentioned, 3v4 at this stage of the game is very hard. The turret heats up really quickly. You can see the effort on the back end is going to fall down to the turret shot, and then you can see Klid also trying to repel. So this was a very interesting play from SKT. They obviously thought they could get away with only 1 death.
Yeah, Axe, what's your move replay right there? The final turret shot, just barely getting those kills, the 2 for 2, and of course, later on we saw that top lane fight, and I gotta give so many props right here to Chachi. This is a good fight for him already, good riposte, and this is gonna be a fight. He's not gonna chase in for any more right there.
I mean, it is Chachi's legendary Poppy. That said, you're still looking across from Khan's Fiora, and let's not kid ourselves. Poppy had to flash away from death, and if Xerxes wasn't there, Khan was gonna walk him down. So while it did look good for Chachi, it was definitely with a strong assist from Xerxes.
Yes.
Otherwise, Khan was just gonna walk all over him.
And finally, this bottom lane will push out. I was going to mention the fact that I didn't love Northscared's roam, and the reason for that was the wave was slow pushing against Kobe, and he got denied so much farm. Look how far he is down. With the double recall stop, I actually thought that they would be able to force that wave into turret, but with the gank coming from Klid, and the fact they didn't necessarily commit to it, they were able to maintain that freeze for such a long time. And now you can see only just starting to crash towards Kobe's side of the map.
Well, right now the game pretty much equal in goal, despite the 1 kill lead that Splyce have so far. Solid probably for SKT, and Klepto, of course, being a part of that, but a 13 CS lead for Khan. Once again, top lane is going to be a big sore spot for Splyce.
And I agree with you, Jake. I think it's something to look at in terms of when Northscared picks his moments to roam, and it just feels like I'm supposed to roam on Pike. This is what I see Fnatic and G2 do, but not the same thought process that goes behind his windows and his wave manipulation. The fact that the wave, they didn't get the bounce back, they didn't get in a good spot for Kabe, and ultimately Northscared is also being punished because he's falling behind in experience, level 4 to level 5 right now. The CS difference between the two 80 carries plus the 2 kills on top of Kai'Sa, the Pike pick really needs to transition to spreading gold with those executions and that ultimate. Otherwise, he is losing a lot of intangible assets for Splyce on this map.
And the reality is, with how fed Teddy is at this stage of the game, being the gold leader as an AD carry, and now that they've taken down that dragon, wherever Teddy goes, Splyce probably can't fight. So that means if they want to flip for a Herald, if they want to play around plates, that we're once again going to see a game with a split map. See whether Splyce can try and navigate this early game as well as they did last one, because I was so impressed with their decision to once again continue to attack that bottom lane side. I think it was an incredibly brave play to leave their gangplank on that island. And I would like to see them try and do something similar this game.
Well, the one thing that's going to be nice for their attacks is the fact that the gold is on Xerxes. Now, that certainly Olaf is going to fall off in the late game, right? This needs to be converted, but wherever he attacks, like, he is rich, right? This is a very, very powerful Olaf right now. So if he can get somewhere with the semblance of a numbers advantage, he can get those kills over the line.
I mean, I agree with you in a sense of that Olaf doesn't have the greatest like versatility in his play patterns for late game, but I wouldn't say he falls off. He does need to be ahead of the clock and have kill pressure to be valuable.
Well, they found a slow toast Baker. Rock jump now for a nice buster shot to not get skewered back in, but they're going to find the first root, but pulled onto the turret by effort. That will mean the kill comes across, and the ult over as well. This could be more of a chase, going to flash in, Ghostwater dive as Xerxes throws in the axe. They're going to kite away from this one, but Clid could potentially collapse with Khan based on what Chachi does up in the top lane.
And a really good read on the play there from SKT. This is a team, once again, that has so much experience. Hold the thought, Khan is quite low. Wave pushing against him.
He knows Xerxes is here, though. Puts on the ultimate. It's going to be chain CC'd. Tries to get some health back. Does he have enough? One more hit would turn it on, and the last few autos might come through. The axe not going to land, and he's stunned under turret. You have to be kidding me.
And this time around, it is the SKT jungler that gets there at the perfect time and is able to avoid disaster for Khan.
Just styling on them right there. Chachi overreaches right into the waiting hands. And now here comes the TP. Khan, I think, is being a bit greedy with this wave. He wanted to get it shoved in. It's Kabe that comes through the TP, but because Xerxes hung around, this could actually really punish SKT as long as Splyce are very quick on this rotation.
And because Northscoren still hasn't returned to that bottom lane, you know, he's just not even laning down there anymore. It means they have to back away from that. Kabe also is going to be enacting a bit of a lane swap here.
Here's the thing, though. Clid sitting on the control ward. You can see that we're going to go to Australian lanes. Teddy and Effort are on their way up here. Oh, no.
This could be a trap.
He can just 100% kill him if he hits the cocoon.
Depending on where he is, Arcane Shift can bring you to safety, but Cocoon, you're just waiting. When is it going to come out? When is he getting hit with this? When is the button coming out?
He might be just waiting for Nautilus.
Yeah, bringing a teammate. Nautilus now spotted. They actually see him on a ward. So they know Nautilus is coming up. Now Clid shows up, lands the red smite, lands the auto attacks. Now Cocoon can't land just yet because of the minions, but how can you get out from this one? Now it's going to come in. The flash there, but you already knew they were coming, and Kabe goes down. Clid just barely grabs the kill.
I mean, it was a valiant effort. Kabe had the minions in front of him trying to use them as the body block, but just a matter of time there.
Now the dive looks like it could potentially be set up on mid lane. And once again, I feel like this was Splyce trying to get ahead of a play, trying to swap towards the top side of the map, but because of how strong Kai'Sa is, 20 CS up, has those 3 kills, it is going to be very hard to play the same side of the map as SKT's strong side, and that should mean that this Herald and control goes down.
Scrim pulls in. Effort has to respect the potential cube. Might be on cooldown right now as the squad runs away from mid. A quick check-in on the top, aka bottom lane, Khan versus Chachi specifically. Back to equal in CS, both 0, 1, and 1, right? Both of them had chase downs that were turned over by the jungler very, very neatly here. So at least this matchup is going much better than last time around. The big difference really is the fact that Teddy is gigantic.
Yeah, but it's also kind of the responsibility that the Fiora is going to have to SKT later on versus what Chachi's going to be able to do on the Poppy. Being grouped up and forcing the 5v5, having that disengage for Chachi versus Khan, who, if he's in an even matchup, will eventually just eat this entire game if it comes to that for SKT. They'll always have that side lane win condition.
And let's not forget that last game, Khan got the counter pick. He did the most damage in the game, had the highest gold, and was absolutely destroying Chachi. This time around, it was Chachi was the counter pick, and he's nearly died solo 3 times. Like, it hasn't happened, but Khan has been into position to be able to win this lane with a blind pick Fiora running Klepto. This isn't even a grasp Fiora.
It's just one of the realities of the issues with Splyce's active champion pool in this meta at this tournament. Chachi doesn't have the same carry champions that Khan is going to have.
Poppy was brought in after you saw the matchups, and Now let's see what comes through. As top lane's being pushed, Teddy's going to claim a plate, no problem there. Mountain Drake is going to help, actually, and that's a little bit of extra gold into the pockets. The pull comes in. This could be a CC chain, just barely able to jump backwards, but trying to stay alive. They're going to be able to. This is an ulti down for effort. Looking at the next mode. Okay, a couple of shots come in, but not going to find any kills. That's going to be an easy pickup there on Rift Herald with a minute to play until the plates drop. That should be 300 more gold donated over.
And the reason that was such a soft contest is Khan does have teleport to be able to join. Not the best team fighter, but would be a numbers mismatch. So despite the fact that they do burn themselves that ultimate off effort, they're not able to continue to chase into Fog of War. However, they do want to try and deny this top lane turret from going down, it looks like.
So much gold only onto Teddy, too. That's now 2 kills in his back pocket, the completed Storm Razors, and he just got all of that Herald gold. This is a lot of resources being funneled onto a Kai'Sa. That's going to be a very big problem.
Khan and Chachi
slowly
fighting,
but surely, Spawn.
fighting valiantly, but a Vamp Scepter on Fiora means you can do pretty good things there, trading back and forth, healing off the vitals. Chachi clears the wave, walks out. Farm again remains close to equal, but all the gold right now, the matchup advantages are specifically in Khan and Teddy on the SKT side. That is where the gold lead lies. 1,500 gold difference, and it's across those two. And now Effort wants to make it even more across those two as Chachi's running out of health. The ulti gonna be popped maybe. Nice push back. Effort not in range, and Xerxes not quite gonna land the axes either.
And once again, it's the fact that Humanoid is cheating down into this lane that will be able to keep Chachi safe. But SKT are just winning in multiple areas right now. Top lane turret will fall down. You can see that whilst Xerxes has been trying to keep his lane safe, this Elise is now starting to build a CS advantage, which shouldn't happen in this matchup, certainly a slower farmer. So I think that a lot of panic in Splyce's gameplay.
Clearly a dodge.
Yeah, clearly a dodge.
Clearly a dodge.
He tried to play for the juke.
It's just so clean.
Happens.
So clean. Wave food again, W popped. Oh, that's a stun. That's decent damage. Xerxes again dropped down to about 60%. Slowed down by the red buff. A level behind the Elise as well.
And now, unlike game one, this early game has been so decisive and one-sided from SKT so far. They've been able to pick up the Dragon, the Herald, they got themselves first turret. Second Dragon is also going to go down. And it really does feel like the game has just been played exactly on their terms. I'm really curious to when Splyce try to pick their moment, because you cannot allow the game to continue in this fashion.
I mean, you just saw it, Spawn. They threw out the hook and they just missed Faker. And the thing is those have been Splyce trying to pick their moment, but it's not connecting with anything. You now have Teddy at 2 completed items, the Rage Blade on top of it. Like, you're absolutely right. Pick up Teddy wherever he is. SKT are totally fine to fight, and Fiora's left to her own devices just punching down on Poppy in that bot lane.
And the reason I loved Ezreal as a counter pick to Kai'Sa is Kai'Sa has such an expensive item build, and it does take time to ramp up. Ezreal normally is able to beat her to the 2-item spike and then get control over this mid lane wave. The factor of the matter is Teddy is so far ahead.
2,000 gold makes it easier to spike your items a bit sooner. And to your point about this early game being placed to SKT's tune, none of the Splyce kills are by their own volition. Right? Their first 2 kills were SKT tower dove, and the turret gave those kills over. It was an equal trade. Khan overchased. Credit to Xerxes for being there, don't get me wrong, but that was Khan playing over aggressive and getting caught out. Splyce have not made their own kills so far this game.
Why you gotta do me like this? Nah, I understand. And you saw Splyce.
I don't have a reason.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You saw Splyce. I don't have a reach. I might not have one after today. Here we go.
Okay, big damage and ever great stopwatch, but that was signs of life. That was a hook landing, decent damage. Finally, something forced out of SKT.
And I think this is what they need to do. You can see that right now. Once again, I think Splyce has made a great choice in this mid game. Humanoid is 40 CS up. He's going to be able to lane into the Fiora really nicely. Has been able to get towards his item Splyce without being shut down too much. You can see they're playing his side of the map. Rotate Xerxes towards the, Chachi towards the play. Ensure that you're fighting around your tank, who at this stage of the game is going to be very hard to deal with.
And one of the, oh no.
Oh no, ulti nice.
Okay.
Nicely aimed.
And one of the players that we haven't gotten a lot of time to talk about is actually Humanoid. He has grown a pretty significant CS difference between him and Faker. You can see that he's also got the experience lead. He's trying to find a matchup, and I expect that Norse Garen and Xerxes will continue to kind of shadow underneath Humanoid and try to leverage this rise as the breaking point for them.
And once again, Pyke is a fun and interactive champion that if you get one team fight clean up with, is able to swing gold leads quite rapidly. So I think that this is what Splyce need to be able to do. They obviously have a strong side of the map that they can play towards now in this Rise. They need to be able to push in and generate a fight. And Chachi's teleport is about to come back off cooldown. So I think, you know, we've been talking about the fact that SKT, they've had all the proactive plays so far. I think they will continue to have the ability to push in majority of this map, but it's not like Splyce are without tools of being able to try and fight back.
All right, well, we'll see when those tools come in. Right now, it's a 3,000 gold difference. It's 3K more than it was last time around in this series, and we'll see what happens now as we go into the mid-game as SKT push forward. They've got their items. They're looking for the next piece of the action. 2 turrets to 0, 2 Drakes, but not the strongest ones. They're going to wait around and find the next big opening. There's the flash play onto the bottom side of the top lane as Faker's forced to flash away. A buster shot hits 2, and he walks away.
And it's the fact that Splyce pick to try to capitalize on Faker. Faker absorbs the pressure, and then that means that Pyke is not there, Chachi is not there for the teleport to avoid the mid lane tower going down.
And also, because the game hasn't been played at the frantic pace that we saw early, hold the thought.
You want it frantic.
Gonna happen right now as North Scarin just goes down. Teddy on a killing spree. Round 2 comes in, the stun is on top, out goes Kabe. The re-engage could look pretty good, it's a shutdown. Xerxes finds his third, and the fight continues on an effort, but it's still SKT with more members. Chachi's trying to one, is nice, finds him into jump 2, but he's only gonna find some slows. The chase down can still happen. One more vital might be enough, and Khan is gonna find that kill, 8-4 in the scoreboard.
And that is what a gold lead team fight looks like. Norscarin tries to engage and just gets destroyed, and now SKT can potentially look to siege onto this mid lane turret.
I think it's much easier that they can go back, spin their gold, and start their setup for the Baron and the Cloud Drake that are spawning soon. That's kind of like the one silver lining for Splyce fans. Hey, at least you didn't lose a 5v5 right in front of a spawned Baron. Thank goodness for them, Baron wasn't there yet. But this is Norscarin getting popped like a balloon. Teddy does get delayed to the fight, which is why it looks like maybe Splyce might get something here. But as soon as Teddy walks back around and joins the fight, it's just front-to-back destruction from SKT.
And unfortunately, execution just wasn't there from Splyce. We saw 2 missed Qs from the Rise on targets that did have spell flux being spread. That could have been a lot of damage coming out of Humanoid, but he's done next to nothing in that team fight from what I can see. And SKT, with this gold lead, means that they have so much more area to be able to misplay. Humanoid actually did quite a lot of damage for a couple of missed skill shots.
I mean, he's got the gold on his team, right? He's actually still up gold on Faker. He's winning in money against the winning team's mid laner. So if there's someone to carry this matchup, it is going to be him. He's got the Righteous Glory in there, so he can reposition, get into his opponents, and land that root, start things up. Maybe we'll see something come out of the mid lane.
Yeah, but Baron is now alive, so Splyce, no more mistakes. Like, the margin for error has shrunk considerably now because SKT win a single team fight, and it's basically game over for Splyce at this point.
And you can see that SKT just feel like they're so much stronger in the 5v5 and bottom lane.
There's the Righteous Glory. Can still catch up to Teddy. The root should be able to be landed. There is that on top, and Chachi come right afterwards. This should be a pretty easy setup. Point blank ult. Nice! He jukes it, but it's gonna be enough damage, but it's still traded back. Teddy claims the kill, and the rest of SKT are here. This has to be Chachi dying. I don't see how he lives. On reflex, the riposte comes out. Khan lands all 4 vitals, and SKT get that second kill, and Faker's not done. Ezreal is trying to run, will just stay alive, and a re-engage comes across. Faker, that was a sick hook. That was a predictive hook. That was a nice one right there. Long-term play goes 2-2.
That was the prediction there from Norscarin, and that's what we need to see on this high execution style of composition. You cannot miss those hooks.
And now it becomes easier because SKT have no flashes available. They got the back-to-back scrappy team fights, and now it means that they're able to look for plays like this. You see in the bottom lane, Teddy trying to trade aggressively, but Humanoid with a really great read attacks the side lane and is able to get a great shutdown for his team.
And I do want to compliment that Humanoid and Chachi did find an opportunity to pick off Teddy, but also really compliment Teddy. He plays this as perfect as he can to trade 1-for-1 in a 2v1 scenario.
I gotta give some thumbs down though. Humanoid takes 2 turret shots for essentially no reason in that fight, and that's even the reason he died.
Certainly is, and then we see also on the flip side of that play, the fact that Faker did fall down, having 0-1-5 performance, also down about 60-odd CS in his lane matchup right now. You can see that the farm values are slightly higher for Splyce. They're finding more farm on this map than what SKT is able to.
And their stats were close coming out of the group stage, but SKT was overall finding more farm across this, but There's at least something in the Splyce side now. Again, it's going to be Khan trying, but not an easy way to find Humanoid, and waits it out. That's going to be the route. This could be enough! Oh, that's a juke in the queue, but Exhaust comes in. He's going to try. He needs to land the skill shot, but he can't get into range, and Khan just walks away.
And this makes me think that the Rise is a denial pick. It is not the comfort pick. They are afraid of it. They banned it from blue side. They denied it from Faker playing it, and you can see Humanoid, he is not connecting in the same way that he needs to with such a powerful champion. If that is Doinby, if that is Faker, that doesn't happen.
I mean, that's also just experience. On the biggest stage, with this crowd screaming, you saw their faces before the game. They were obviously very happy to be here, but I guarantee their hands are a little bit shaky and the setup is not what they're used to. And just in crucial moments, the mis-executions have cost Splyce in this game.
That Baron is going to drop down rapidly. No one's around to stop them. SKT, okay. Had to give that one the respect, but it comes through. Also the solo kill for Khan in the picture-in-picture. SKT went on both halves of the map.
And now they just got everything again. This is another game where it looked like Splyce was starting to claw their way back into it. They had burnt the summoner spells. They were getting the scrappy team fights that Pyke needs to be able to survive. But unfortunately, they lose the bottom lane and they lose the Baron. And with 5 members alive now, SKT are just going to be able to march these waves into the base and start accumulating an even bigger gold lead.
And there's not traditional wave clear, especially when Humanoid is dead on that Rise. So these towers will fall over, but I've got some good news. Faker is now at 99 international wins. Do you know what that means?
That means this one probably is going to be number
99.
100.
Yeah, I agree. Splyce going to come back. I'm sorry, I'm trolling you.
You are trolling me. But there's a reason that we call him the greatest of all time. Hook will miss. This is a guy that has been able to reinvent himself so many times across League of Legends. First known for his brilliant assassin play, then relegated towards tanks, has even spent time on the bench, but the fact that now Faker is back at another World Championship and looking to contest for a crown.
They're going to look for this kill. He's going to want to riposte, but he can't. Now he's going to try to run away. And he's able to, but he's still rooted in place. He's got the team coming across and just walks away.
Got him. Nailed it.
Oh, round 2. Chachi, gonna look at Faker, but he's kind of squishy, all things considered. The whole team ready to fight him. Has to jump away from that one, loses the flash, looking for the re-engage, not gonna find it there. Xerxes and Northscared, he's gonna bring the, almost finds the stun to the rest of his team. They're gonna jump into the back line. That's Teddy right there in a duel now with the entire rest of the squad. This has to be a kill. This has to be Splyce fighting Teddy, and yet they can't. They can't find a single kill. SKT walk away with everything again.
And once again, you see the indecision from Splyce. They don't even look like they want to fight there. They're just crowding around the Raptor camp now with 2 members dead. SKT might even look to end the game.
That was literally Kai'Sa like, open up, here comes the airplane, drives right in, and then just walks it back out. They're not walking to the Nexus.
25 minutes in, onto the turrets right now in a 5 versus 4 as one of the respawns comes in. Splyce gonna do their best to defend themselves as Khan is gonna jump away, block the CC and get out. They will not lose the Nexus yet, but that is a 5,300 gold Baron power play with a half-open Nexus.
Okay, a different team on a different day might try to push the end there, but that is not SKT's style. We've said they have sped up, but it's still not to the point where they are willing to take reckless risks. Once again, with the amount of shutdowns available right now, they do not want to give that back over to the opponent. I respect the decision to back away. They've still got a minute left of this Baron, see whether they can get anything else done with it, because they are so... That's a Medjai's built up on a Kai'Sa, by the way.
The respect you were talking about, yes?
Yeah, all the respect. But this is what I meant. It didn't even look like Splyce in that choke point really wanted to commit. They didn't have Chachi up the front with Xerxes fishing for those kinds of engagements. It wasn't until, you know, Teddy flew into the back line and tried to donate some gold over to Splyce before they were really sucking into it.
Big confidence play coming out of Teddy right there. He's like, I've got the stopwatch. I think I can outplay these kids. Wasn't wrong.
Wasn't wrong. 5-1-5 has the Medjai's for good measure. Going towards them, pretty sure that's going to be a Gunblade. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's Proto Belt. Teddy's going to Proto Belt into the squad. Really wants to dive in, see what they can do.
I mean, just the damage that's going to be coming out of the Kai'Sa W with that build.
A lot. I'm going to say. A lot is probably the amount here as they continue to push now with the bottom side. Baron buff has timed out. The minions mostly gone. Faker pulled in, but yeah, on reflex, buffers the rocket jump, gets the cast animation in before the hook lands, and now towards the back line. They're going to find a couple of stuns.
This
That
is
means
it.
the dive can come in. Xerxes, he's trying to run away. One auto would kill him.
Here comes
Just
Chachi.
barely going to live. Clint is knocked down.
Still
Humanoid
coming.
Teddy once again right in front of the squad. And the Zonias comes out. He's going to stay alive. But the kills just keep coming through. And no one is left to defend. Khan will die, but that's going to be it. SKT an ace for a death. The minions all